Hi, I'm Emily, author of the XERUS Galaxy Saga, and I'm happy to welcome you back to my channel. I took a vacation a couple of weeks ago and I went to Disneyland in Southern California. I'm originally from California and I can't tell you how many times I've been to Disneyland, but nonetheless, I had an absolute blast while there. But as I was there walking around Disneyland, I started to think of things that I do that are kind of unique to me as a writer that help me while I'm on vacation to come back more excited and with more ideas to get back to my story or the next story that I want to write. So I'm going to share those 5 things with you. Let's get to the video. All right, so the first thing that I love to do, and it kind of seems obvious when you're going away on vacation, but is to experience new things. Now, it doesn't matter if you've taken this same vacation every year for the last 10 years with your family, or maybe you're switching and you're going somewhere new like Costa Rica or Germany, I don't know. But no matter where you go, there's always the possibility to have new experiences. And whether that's something that you pay for or just something that you observe while you're there, I think those are really crucial for us as creatives to get the creative juice flowing and to get ideas just like kind of running through our heads. So I say let yourself experience that. And of course, I'm not suggesting that every minute of your vacation you take time to think about work. It's not that. It's more of let your brain take a rest, but also engage those fun creative things. And there's a few more in this list that I'm going to share that I think will help you do that. And the second one, which may seem a little odd and maybe slightly creepy, but is to people watch. Okay, I cannot be the only person that does this. I do it at the airport, I do it in town, I do it when I'm at the store. I cannot help but observe other people, how they talk, how they interact, all of those different things. And so, especially at a place like Disneyland, it's ripe for just kind of observing how people are. I like to see what it is that they're wearing, like their hat choices. I mean, anything that creates a unique character, which is what they are. Not to say that everybody's a character, but as a writer, there's always that potential to have someone inspire a future character, and that's what we're looking for here. The third thing, and I kind of hinted at this already, but is to listen to dialogue. Now, I'm not condoning eavesdropping though. Let's be honest, you can overhear some pretty crazy things, especially at Disneyland. But what I do think is really helpful is to hear how people talk. Now, I know for myself, I say and so and but too many times, but that's usually because I'm on a podcast or a video or things like that. What I'm talking about is real life. Now, our job as authors is not to just transcribe real life words or phrases into our books, but it's to capture the essence of how people speak and how they interact with each other. Another great thing, which kind of goes in line with that people watching, is to see those micro expressions that people make. Gosh, when you're standing in line at Disneyland, there's no better place to kind of just like observe what people are saying and how they're saying it. Again, not eavesdropping, just observing. Speaking of observing, the fourth point is to observe relationships. Now, this is unique to just people watching. What I mean by relationships is kind of how interpersonal things happen. How is that husband speaking to his wife? How is that child reacting to their parent? What does it look like between best friends who are at Disneyland for the first time? You know, if you can know that or guess that. Seeing those types of relationships can only strengthen the way that you create your own characters and then depict those characteristics within your books. Now, if you write science fiction or fantasy, you might be saying, well, Emily, you know, Disneyland is not a different planet, although sometimes it might feel that way. What I mean by observing these relationships is the fundamental things of who we as humans are. Now, no, we're not aliens, so if you're writing about aliens, you can maybe disregard this point. But I do think that when we see how humans interact and we put that into whatever landscape our books are in, that is going to create a more realistic and more understandable type of character or character arc or relationship within our novels. Now, that doesn't all just come from observing people, but it can help. And the fifth point, which is by far my favorite, is to let your mind wander into what if questions and scenarios. I love doing this. And honestly, this is how I get my best book ideas. And usually what happens is I'll have a great what if question, and then I'll pair it with another idea that I had from like years past, shove them together, and it creates something new that really makes an interesting, hooky idea. But I digress. What I mean by these what if questions are to let your mind wander to the place of what if this was to happen here, or what if this aspect of our vacation was to change. While I was at Disneyland, there was a prime opportunity for me to do this. So what happens is that characters usually appear throughout the park, whether that's Mary Poppins or Mickey or Goofy or whatever. They just kind of come out with their handlers and walk around, and kids can have signatures by them and pictures taken with them and things like that. So I was in Star Wars land because of course I was, and we rode Rise of the Resistance multiple times, but we were walking around and we look over and there is Kylo Ren, or at least whoever the character is playing him, walking around with a group of stormtroopers. I loved it. He's like very much in character and, you know, kind of like, don't get near me, I'm looking for the rebel spy, that type of thing. But in observing him, I had this sudden idea of like, what if? I'm going to go ahead and tell it to you guys because I might as well. I will probably write this into a book so nobody can steal it because it's copyright in here. But my thought was, what if there was a planet, and I'm still working out the details here, where people were part of a former resistance and then that resistance was squashed or something, and they were enslaved to work in a type of park, amusement park, I don't really know, historical park, something like that. And they have to wear costumes. And what if the person playing one of those, you know, rebel characters in kind of like educating the populace who's coming to these parks passed a note to someone else saying that they needed help. Now, obviously, that's not the full idea. There's so many things that have to work out. And so I'm not saying that that will be the book, but I had this spark of inspiration because my mind was ready for it. I was looking around and I was thinking, what could happen if? What if? Now, this can happen anywhere. It doesn't have to be at Disneyland. You can do it on the beach in Florida, wondering, well, what if, isn't there like a movie if like a ship came onto the shore, something like that? All of these ideas come from just random what if scenarios. So take some time while you're on vacation to let your mind wander to those places. And then before you forget, type them into a notes app in your phone or write them down in a quick little journal or something like that. But make sure that you hold on to these so that you have them for future reference. Like I said, there might be a time where I come up with another idea and then I think back to this idea and be like, oh, what if I merge these together? It becomes a more fleshed out idea. So there we have it. So those are 5 things that I do while I'm on vacation. I don't do these religiously. I don't like make a checklist. Oh, I've got to get these things done. But it's just things that I naturally do as a writer and found inspire me to come home and then to keep writing or work on a new project. So I'm curious to hear if you guys have ever done any of these things while you're on vacation. If so, post them in the comments below. I want to hear like your kind of weird and unhinged things that you do while you're on vacation to kind of keep yourself fresh as a writer. And if you haven't, would you take a moment to like and subscribe to my channel? I love creating these videos, and hopefully we'll be back in a space where you can see all of my lovely books behind me soon. But in the meantime, go boldly and write.